This is Do by Friday, a weekly challenge podcast with Alex Cox and Merlin Mann. This week's challenge, watch Pee-wee as himself.
Get innocuous.
That sounded a little bit like Sandstorm, and I'm digging it.
Where's that band from? Where's LCD Sound System? They're very New York, right?
Yes.
Or are they Chicago?
No.
Where's DFI? Where is that?
DFI?
DFI label. Don't worry. Shh.
Okay.
DFI.
All right.
How you doing? You good?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, go ahead.
Is this a time where you're actually
LCD
asking how I'm doing?
Sound. It will be in a second.
Okay.
Sound system. No, I can feign that. Let me look.
All right.
LCD sound. DFA. Sorry, DFA. Yeah, DFA. I thought. Wow. They seem. Yeah, New York. They're from Brooklyn. Hey, are you from Brooklyn? You from Brooklyn?
I'm walking here.
Hear that song? It's that first song on Sound of Silver. Get innocuous. I'm singing. I'm singing in the shower this morning.
Oh.
Yep. That was a messy start, but I'm a messy bitch. I don't know what that means. It's just something you say and people go, slay.
No, that's not something.
Well, doesn't it sound like Charlie
I'm not walking
XCX?
into Walgreens saying,
I'm walking into Walgreens here.
Bitch. Oh, I almost sent you, and now
Who says that? Doesn't Charlie? Don't people like Charlie XCS? Who said? Oh, Lorde said I'm a messy bitch. She said that recently.
I don't keep up with the trades. I don't have the fashion section of Apple News Plus like you do.
Okay.
I trust you to keep me
Oh, I'm sorry.
up
Okay.
to date on who's saying slay.
Well, get innocuous. That's my word to you today.
All right, you're going to feign interest in my health for a moment. You've sent me an application that I've been using. Not really sure the context. I sort of pretended I did.
An application.
You sent P. I believe the app literally is called just the letter P.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why you sent this to me, but of course I tried it because when someone sends me something that allows me to track bodily fluids, of course, and now
That's right, and you're on that hydration grind already.
Oh, I absolutely.
You had an e-bottle.
I have not had an e-bottle.
You had a bottle with like a decoder ring on it that you turn
No,
to say, hey, I gobbled, yum, 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 I drank more water, yum, 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 yum. Now I know I'm good. 3 stars, Dave.
No.
What?
I did have an NFC tag on my water bottle for a while so that every time I would finish it, I would go bleep bloop with my phone. It would trigger a shortcut, which ran Water Minder.
I bet that changed a lot of shit in your life.
It did.
It made you drink more water than you were already drinking?
Yes, not necessarily that, but Water Minder. How many?
You got to take the lessons where you find them, not where they're
tracked?
convenient. Write that down.
Yes, my I did write down a bell is a cup,
Until
and
it is
I
struck.
disagree.
Well, tell Wire. File a bug. File feedback.
How many? Gosh darn it! Sponsor me.
That was a comeback
Water?
album. That was a comeback album in the mid '80s.
I didn't know that was an album until I went to search reasons why bells aren't cups, and then I'm like, oh, look it's in an album. Now it's.
Let's see if I can remember the words to the chorus from the single from that record.
We're not done feigning. We're not done feigning interest in my health because
Money's
I don't.
fine, paper lung, kidney bingo, organ fawn. It's a little bit.
This
It's a little
isn't
bit
Billy
da.
Joe?
Is it Billy Joe? It's a band called Wire that changed the world of music over 3 albums in the late '70s. They've had an influence on the bands you should have liked instead of the bands you did.
I like pavement, you know.
Oh, they had yeah. Big ones for me. I'd say they had a big impact. The ones that I became aware of, Minutemen would be a big one, Minor Threat. Pixies, big time. You know what? I'm going to write that down. We're going to listen to a song from Pink Flag later. Hey, Alex, how you doing?
I don't know.
Literally at length. I sent you an app that you use.
Yes, and I don't know how I'm doing because this application, unlike every other health app I've used, it doesn't tell me what I'm supposed to do and how much I should do it. I know that I've taken 2 Ps today, and my
I think you've
average.
given 2 Ps.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's like in the Princess and the Peas.
That's a different episode.
You're a different episode.
I'm so.
Keep going.
One can almost imagine.
This is how we differ, though, because I think you're getting at something where we do kind of differ. I don't know if we differ. I think we have a lot of overlap with this stuff. But my dream, as I've said for years and years, really ever since OmniFocus introduced geofencing, which made my brain think about the world a little bit differently. That's when I remember I first started thinking, I want things to push information to me when it's needed and otherwise pull information that I shouldn't have to care about and learn things about me, right? Like that's the dream, right? This is what we're always getting at with the health apps and all that stuff. And this, because I just love now I'm ruining my uniform, burning my uniform. Oh, shit.
Oh,
I just woke up. Sorry, I'm coming all over myself is what I'm trying to say. I mean, yeah, I just thought it was a fun, well-made app where if you dig in, there's a lot of stuff in it. Like, it's one of those fun, like, okay, bells and whistles. This fella John has really done lots of fun stuff with it. And I did think it was kind of interesting, though, like, how often do you pee? Like, am I trying to do anything specific? No, I just think it's kind of a fun app. But you know what else it did for me is it makes you realize, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I know I peed less than 4 hours ago, and I forgot to write it down. So it teaches me things not just about my hydration, but maybe more saliently about my presence of mind.
That you had to make it profound in the end, didn't you?
Oh, sorry.
I
Fuck
just
it up.
wanted to.
So you have an e-bottle.
Cut that. No. I just.
You know about it because John
tracked...
sponsored Rectives, and I really enjoyed the app, and I did a really good ad read of it.
Oh, see, I'm.
Are you? Do you pay?
No, I mean yes.
Oh no, you heard the one I sent you.
No, I think I think I'm grandvade in because I have a show theoretically there.
Right,
so I have.
Oh, that's
the
awesome.
fancy,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
But this app, I don't know if it's just emojis indicate like a feeling. Like right now, I'm.
What the fuck are you talking about?
The
It's an
emojis-
app where here's what you do: you go to the bathroom,
I know,
and on either your
yes,
watch or your phone, you bring it up, and then you say, "I'm peeing right now," and that's all you have to do for the app.
Yes, but why? I've sent you a screenshot, of course,
good.
and it's a very well-made app. I just
told
don't
people I
know
only
if I'm
wanted to send you a
okay.
screen-
I don't
okay.
know how often I should pee. Like this feels. I don't know because the one
So you've been using
critique
it for
is
it looks like 2.5 days.
yes.
Yeah. No. But like it, I don't know. I mean, it's this is related to a topic that's related to a topic that's related to a topic that we might talk about today. But kind of goes back to what I said at the top as a half joke. You take lessons where you find them, not where they're convenient. And like I learned something about myself with almost everything I try if I pay attention. That's the neat part to me. And like, I hate feeling so alone in that. I'm surprised how little people learn from just trying something different. You know what I mean?
Do you
I mean, ChatGPT
that?
is another example. Oh my fucking God. You should see what I've done this week with ChatGPT. Oh my God. I've done such incredible shit this week. And like I said to somebody, I said this to Madeline this morning because she's like, oh my God, what did you change? Something just worked. And I was like, yeah, it's frustrating to me. It seems to me. I think one thing that frustrates me is assuming in good faith that people are really mad about ChatGPT and all the ways they say. I understand all the things that are abstract and they don't use it. But all the things that are abstract and you do use it, you should know better. Like if you tried, you could use it for more things. And it frustrates me that I seem to be using it for something very different than the people who are all mad about it, or the people who imagine that they're mad about it because they think it's just for cheating on tests. And I'm like,
All
no,
right.
I just want to upload screen grabs of the power draw on all the appliances in my house and have you tell me which ones are most likely to cause problems for me. And it does that. It did that. I fixed my AirPod Maxes again with the help of this thing. It's just one thing after another. I'm completely unencumbered at this point by going in and spending the amount of time needed to fix a problem, because not only am I getting answers that fix problems, but I'm developing a stronger sense of confidence in ways I haven't really had in a long time, that I can actually accomplish stuff, that I've got velocity to do stuff, that it doesn't have to just go sit on a list that I organize better.
All right. This isn't a surprise party, but
Who's there? Oh my gosh, you guys, why didn't you tell me? Oh.
There's been a bit of a running theme. I'm not sure if you know, but there's been a bit of a running theme on this show about the frustrations you have around using LLMs and some of the pushback you get, even though you say that it doesn't frustrate you.
Well, you just find it boring.
I don't find it boring. You might be the only person I know.
Well, Alex, it's just, no,
LLMs
let's not be cute about it. It fucking frustrates me to death. The people who are really, first of all, everybody's fucking mad. And I'm just so tired of everybody being mad almost exclusively all the time. It is excruciating. And it bums me out to go on to Mastodon in particular. And I feel like I'm a problem. Like, everybody is not only mad about AI in general, but they are swatting so blindly at everything related to AI that, like, even my little modest I'm not going to I talk less about my little dumb victories, because I feel like people hate me because I use an LLM all the time, and I'm not using it to cheat, and I'm not using it to make porn. Like, I'm using it to figure out what I can do in a house with 15 amp glass fuses.
I think that it would be fine if you were cheating on tests and making consensual porn.
Damn.
That's a good use of it as well. But
all right,
do
but,
people?
that's not what I'm
not
saying.
being cute. No, seriously. Do you actually get pushed?
No, nobody talks to me about anything, but I can see what people are saying.
What's that frustration?
Alex, have you ever yelled at someone, maybe even someone famous? Did you ever yell at somebody famous or in your head, but especially on the internet, because they said something about people in general that you took to be a comment about you personally, or that affected you personally? Of course you have. I don't even want to pursue it. I don't want you to answer. We all do that. And here's the problem. They weren't fucking talking to you. In some cases, they weren't even trying to be hurtful. They weren't even trying to, have a hot take. Sometimes you just say a thing, and just in the context of and the environment in which something like that comes out, it ends up having a weird valence compared to everything else that's going on. And, anyways, that's the part that bums me out and frustrates me, because I already feel so fucking lonely online. And then on top of it all, all the people who I want to be pals with are out there just talking about, hanging everything AI from the highest rafters for all kinds of reasons. And what else do we know? Let's go back to first principles, Clarice. What's the first thing? Everybody's fucking mad. Yeah? Okay. So what do we have left? Being mad in public with other people about something and picking a side. That's all we have left. And it's so fucking annoying to me. Just that's how we are now. It's so deeply uncreative. I've tried to be low key and liberal arts about it, but everybody's gotten really fucking boring and in a groove. Unless that is actually, maybe that's how people are all the time, or maybe I'm trying to be generous about this, maybe online is their chance to be a grandpa and be mad about all the stuff that they perceive is changing, about things that they never really understood that well to begin with. And that's a great grandpa topic, and it is fucking tedious as shit to me. And I'm trying not to sound defensive. If I were sounding defensive, what I would say is, you fucking people are so stupid. You can't even figure out how to use the Coke machine, and you're mad about all the vendors that are being put out of work and all the electricity that's being drawn and immigration. Okay, I get it. But not everything is everything, and it bums me out. In a similar way, probably to the way that I've tried to stop saying I'm sick of hearing about everybody's sexual intercourse, because I realize that that's a hurtful thing to say to somebody, even though I don't like hearing about sexual intercourse. But I don't want people who are out there trying to figure out who they are think that I hate them abstractly because I'm tired of hearing about coitus. Anyways, it's just a bummer. And like the more success I have with this on the reg, the more it's just, I feel sort of, I feel left out. Like, I don't want to be mad with other people. I would like them to be excited about Rachmaninoff with me, but that's clearly not going to happen. That's not fruitful, because you get the 3 people who know Rachmaninoff and are mad that you referred to Rock 3 wrong. And then you got everybody else who's like, yeah, but like, what about the Orange Man? And it's like, oh my fucking God.
I'm not going to pretend I understand that reference, but
there's a
composer
just
named
said Rachmaninoff.
No,
and
okay.
He put out a piece.
And I don't care. You sound more and more frustrated every time you have.
That was funny. I like that you said that. No, I like that you said I don't care. It was funny. It was just a good bit. I'm laughing because I do that to you. I do that to you and other people. It was really funny when you did it. That's all.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Alex
keep
did
going.
it funny.
No, sorry. Please keep going.
You did sort of acknowledge this.
Yeah.
The more great success you have, and the more excitement you have, the more frustration you also have with
the more frustration I experience.
Okay.
No. Hey, fuck you. I'm agreeing with you, you piece of shit. Calm down. Did you have a big caffeine drink?
I'm drinking it right now.
How big is it?
It's 16 flowing ounces. Okay. Yeah, it's medium sized.
Great success.
You're kind of reminding me of how I felt like post high school when I suddenly realized how boring people were, when it was like, oh, so the feelings you had about the sort of people who are different than you, like not just gay people, but anyone different than you, that's not a bit that we did not to get in trouble. That's like actually how you feel. Oh, that's a bummer. And then there's this feeling of isolation. It's easy to confuse stuff
like that, like homophobia or really crass, behavior about class. It can be very easy to try and tie that too much to a certain time instead of just saying, hey, you know what? Being young's fucking hard. And when you're 12, you want anybody to be your friend. Like if 3 people will let you be in their group, you'll say whatever the fuck you have to say to get along with them. And don't lie, everybody did it.
Not everyone, but a lot of people.
Nobody did that. We were all really good. I, in particular, I was never like that. I never thought he was funny at all.
I never thought
he was funny.
I never thought anyone was funny. I didn't
Remember
find
Bill Cosby says,
funny.
the chocolate cake behind you. And they go, Dad is great. He gives us chocolate cake. I'd have to have some kind of Paul.
Say yes and
I don't care. I don't care. I could have some kind of Paul Verhoeven procedure to remove Louis C.K. and Bill Cosby from my head, but I would be a different person.
So is it about the anger online?
I'm self-canceling, as the president calls it.
Is it
Stephen Miller says more people should self-cancel. They'll give him $1,000 to self-cancel.
I really hope his wife is cheating on him.
Oh my God.
It's a small bad thing. It's a small unhelpful thought I have.
She's getting railed by the Dewey Man.
I don't know.
Boy.
No, I think that's much worse. I don't think he's being cucked by Elon Musk. I think he's being cucked by like the hot younger assistant who is following them around. But there's always someone younger and hotter.
When Sona did the book, and then Conan had to get the assistant for his assistant. When she was touring about her book, The Worst Assistant in the World, and he had to hire another assistant.
That's
a good bit.
I think, now this is a headline. I was thinking that broccoli-haired Big Balls was the one.
Madeline showed me some kind of like staff photo of one of the Doge guys, and I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, it looked like a high-end yearbook photo, but like a guy who's a little bit of a handful, and it's like, Jesus Christ, he's canceling all people's health stuff.
He's as people would say about you, he's not living up to his potential.
I've started a new shell and running the Windows script. My Python is deleting everything.
Well, you've just indicated, I think, people's frustrations with artificial intelligence is wrapped up with some of the people who have made it, and it is just the fun part of for some people. Not even the fun part. Just sometimes the one thing they have, especially in I guess, on parts of the internet that I used to think of as I don't know, a place to find community. And you're saying that you feel isolated. And have you just ever thought, like, maybe it is time to just move on from these uninteresting people, from a big block of people from like the weirdos on Mastodon who are shouting about.
Well, I mean, they're not yelling at me. That's the thing.
But they're frustrating you. Like, why look at?
I want to have friends, Alex.
Yeah, there are many, many people who would want to be your friend.
You think so?
And when I was listening to an episode of Rectifs the other day that I really enjoyed, yes, the Reconcilable Differences is the more popular program that Merlin Mann has with our friend John Siracusa. Friend is a strong word. I don't want to make presumptions about our relationship. And
Acquaintance of the pod.
yeah,
On the pod. Putting out a lot of compute. It's big spend.
you said it like took me aback. You said you thought of yourself as retired, I believe.
No, I think what I said is sometimes I feel retired.
Okay, why?
Why?
Why do you
why does it
feel
matter?
retired? Because you're
No,
giving...
that's way too subtle for me to unpack. Because in order for me to unpack what that means, which I was happy to say to John, because it's true, but it's really subtle. And if I explained it, I would sound like a fucking idiot. And people would go, well, I'm not satisfied with your explanation about why you would say something like that. You know what a big part of it is, Alex? Did you catch the 20 minutes before that about relevance? Did you happen to catch that part? You know who doesn't feel as relevant?
Who, Merlin?
A lot of times people who are retired. Okay. So, and it's not like I've got a nest egg. Got it? So I'm working. I'm still working, whether people like what I'm making or not. But for practical purposes, I might as well be retired. I don't think I have a future in a lot of careers. And that's really different from, must be nice. Oh my God, I keep forgetting to tell you this. Fuck. I've recently kind of rediscovered, but Gary Gulman, a funny comedian who I forgot. I learned about mostly from Conan, but Madeline had told me about his really good special on probably HBO, whatever. Look for something I think it's called The Big Depression or The Great Depression. And it's about the incredible depression that he went through and managed to pull out of. And he's really, really smart and he really, really talks about it. But anyway, just real quick, I got to tell you this, because is it not fair to say it must be nice? Practically a catchphrase on here.
Must be.
He's talking about when he talks to his mother. And I think the example he gave was something like, Mom, it went really well. It's kind of like Maria Bamford. Oh, she couldn't stand up. Your work is so important. But something like where he's like, Mom, I did really good. I bought this espresso machine. It's really cool. And his mother goes, whoa, excuse me, must be nice. And he said, I should tell you that in my family, must be nice is how we say congratulations. It's so fucking true. Can't you just say congratulations? Why do you have to say must be nice? What a horrible thing to say. Sorry, I just had to tell you that. No. The retirement part. No, I mean, I don't actually feel retired. There's not that much benefit in me talking about my life anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, you ever notice also that the people a lot of what I notice is people being mad online about kind of the same thing. Kind of the same things everybody's always been mad about, right? Those idiots in Congress and bad customer service and change. But that's a common cause that we can find with people. It's a fairly low common denominator with which to bond with your fellow villagers. Which torch are you bringing? Kind of thing. But it's always been real. Like the shittiness of teenagers, it's always been real. It's just right now it's super amplified. And all of my usual tricks, not for being slightly famous, but for developing meaningful relationships with new people, I have not cracked that nut yet, which is another problem retired people have.
Do retired? I don't know, the way that you say retired people, like if
It's just something I think said in passing. We oughtn't overinflate its value into something that's a big deal. I don't actually feel retired, Alex. In the context of what he was saying, I said that. And what I'm telling you and our listeners is the part to take away from that is not because I don't have any fucking money. What it should tell you is, if anybody listened to the part that's not as fun to talk about, I'm trying to make my peace with my increasing lack of relevance and having it not be a problem for me. And ask 20 people my age how they're working on that. And I'll bet a lot of them aren't. They're mad. They're mad about because the thing that used to make them relevant went away.
What was the thing that made you relevant?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, there was the bin that I wanted to be in. You know, the self-help guy. There was that stuff. I used to play in bands. I've done some stuff, you know, from time to time. What's the question?
All of those things are still.
I don't think you need to be a type, but you know what I super don't want to be right now is an influencer. Even if I could, I wouldn't want to be. So, I'm trying to figure all of that stuff out. I'm trying to figure out along the lines of John's excellent topic of goals and accomplishments, you know, trying to figure out what I'd like to be doing. I'm always trying to figure that out, like everybody, I suppose. But I'm trying to I don't know, it's really boring and self-involved to talk about, but.
Oh yeah, but that's super, super, super boring, and
We'll talk about anything you want, but just don't take my topic and try to turn it into something else. Is all I would ask.
No, I am trying to figure out what is the important part. Clearly,
the important part of what,
or the interesting part, as.
Of the retirement remark in
passing?
passing?
No, not the retirement part. But like I mentioned before, the goals and that was in passing. But you had a great conversation.
Yeah, I thought that was really good, and I like what we both had to say about it.
And I was just surprised about. I don't know. It was surprising to hear the way that I was more in line with what John was saying about goals, because
what was that?
Sometimes
if you're going to talk about this, we oughtn't assume that people have heard the episode. John Syracuse was saying on the basis, God, this is so deep. On the basis of recent Roderick on the Line, where Roderick was talking about wanting to put out an album, and he's going back in the studio. He's written 10 songs, et cetera, et cetera. And I think, just to you tell me, Syracuse was tossing out the idea, once you've had, however you want to look at it, God, I hate these words, goals, you've had accomplishments, you've done the thing, you've done some things. Some things worked out, some things didn't. But as you get older, should you have goals that you make for yourself in the absence of the goals that are forced on you by other people? And what does that look like, kind of, right?
Mm-hmm. But he just had, I think, a way, I guess, bigger scope on what is and isn't a goal, and I could be.
He's just some things. I think there are probably things we could both agree are goals. I think where we seem to differ in a kind of slightly funny way is, and if I could risk saying it, probably because I've thought about this a little more than him, but to me, depending on how he feels like defining it, a goal could be either a goal or a project or a task, and those are real different to me.
Yeah, but sometimes right now, a goal that Maddie, my perfect, wonderful spouse, who's having a time, his goal is to build this bookshelf that has been in the corner. Okay, has been in the, yes, it is. His goal is to
What have they done to you people? What have they done to all of you people? All you young people, they've ruined you. That's not a goal.
Yeah.
That's an afternoon.
That's his goal. And no, because the first part of that task is getting out of bed.
I'm being
in the
silly.
morning.
That is what,
Sometimes
just
that
in my
is
nomenclature,
a
I would call
big-
that a project.
Well, yeah.
How will the world
and
be different when this project is done? I will either have a
You'll
bookshelf.
hate yourself a little less is the goal, really. Like that, I suppose I guess the building a bookshelf is a project, and the goal at the end is just to survive. I mean, all of my I have had my dream job. It's really conceited to say, but I'm happy with the accomplishments I've had, because now, I didn't expect to live this long, just statistically not too likely. And the one goal I really have is top surgery, and that's kind of most of what my time, energy, and attention goes into. But other than that, like, the scope of what I consider goals has just really, really narrowed. And that's...
Yeah, in that sense, yeah.
That's
in that
okay?
case, So without being ridiculous about it, I see what you're saying. Like I say, in my nomenclature, because these words have a life-changing kind of meaning to them, that's why I would call that a project rather than a goal. But no, that totally makes sense as a goal. I mean, sure, the goal is I want to have a bookshelf where there didn't used to be one, or I want to not have a bookshelf and know why.
Well, that's the thing.
Which people
All
don't
right.
usually include in the equation, which is a bummer. Something ChatGPT has helped me realize.
That's...
Maybe
wait,
a bookshelf isn't the best answer for what you need.
I mean,
Maybe a 10-song album is not a good goal. Maybe learning where you can buy lumber is a good goal. Right? Do you follow me?
Yeah, but that is a different goal, I think. Like
Well, okay, but like play with me in the space, dude. You're the one who brought it up.
yeah, and
What I was trying to say to
see
Roderick is, as your friend, I'm here to tell you, you are in no position to just announce you're going to put out a 10-song album right now. I think that is okay, sure. Okay, if you can do it, that's great. But if you can't, you're going to feel worse about it, and you're going to be further away, and you'll have wasted that time. And that's why I'm trying to get at, the thing I'm trying to counsel all my kids about, and the thing that runs through all this fucking shit, if somebody would listen, is quit obsessing with the product and start focusing on the process. Stop hating process and start realizing that process is all that there is. Especially, I mean, we're not building a bridge, most of us. If you're building a bridge, that's a different kind of thing. The classic example in project management, but even building a bridge, there's different models for how you can choose to approach that. And you don't do it all in one day just because you're in a hurry. Like there's constraints to all of these things. And the reason I choose these words with care is because they have an impact. If you don't understand the difference, if you don't know what priority and goal and task and project, if you don't know what those terms mean in your own head, is it any wonder that everything's such a muddle? So the thing that I wrote down this morning, because you had mentioned you wanted to talk about this, something for the document, is that I think, I'll speak for myself, in my own life, some of my favorite things that I've accomplished are not because of goals, but in spite of them. Mm-hmm. And that's, he was very into this. He seemed, he will disagree with this, I'm sure. But what I got was he was saying goals and accomplishments, which are kind of like not two sides of a coin, but a goal is something in the future that you're trying to do, and an accomplishment is a goal that you finished. And the reason I like the word accomplishment is like, well, hey, dude, what if you had some fucking amazing, what if you had 6 amazing accomplishments that are way more fucking interesting than your original goal? Did you fail at your, quote, goal? Because learning you don't need a bookcase can save you a lot of hammering.
Well, that's because when I think of accomplishments, they rarely correlate with goals. Sometimes it was in.
I just got a bad taste in my mouth about goals. I feel like I've gotten to directly choose so few goals in my life, and the goals in my life that I did get to freely choose, I had no fucking business choosing most of the time.
Well, I think that's the other thing of like I think I'm not as attached to accomplishing a goal necessarily because because that, I don't know, it's more of a moving target.
You failed at your goal.
Well, by a your definition, and
No,
I
no.
guess
that's not accurate.
Then why are you saying? Then why are you saying that?
Alex, don't try to change what I'm
failed?
saying.
I'm playing in the space. What is a failure then? Like, what's the fail state?
Unless you know what the fuck
Internet
you're
man would
doing.
say.
I forget it.
No,
Goals are not a good idea unless you know what you're doing. Unless you have business making goals. You have business. It's sensible to create goals about things where you understand what it is that you're making a goal about. If you're trying to make a goal about something when you're really just trying to find new information, how can you do anything but fail? The first step in most things, the second step, like I say, second step in almost everything is infrastructure. And the first step in almost everything is usually information. Well, it's the Dreyfus Brothers again. Like, how do you know how to even pose what the goal is? Well, then there are people who are like, okay, but I got to stick with it because remember my dad got mad at me because I wasn't good at soccer and didn't apply myself. So I got to stick to my goals. And you're like, okay, well, at what point do you realize that like you don't really want to sleep in a race car bed anymore? And yet you've spent $190,000 in 10 years of your life trying to get that race car bed. Well, wouldn't it have been nice to know earlier that all those goals were things that people put on you to keep you in line and to make you feel shame about what you're accomplishing and more saliently not accomplishing? And at a certain point in life, maybe those goals should be something not only that you get some agency over, but that also are having those goals helping you. Because if they're not, that might be one reason why a person is sad. That's all.
Then do you think there's a better, like, is there a reason to have goals?
Yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, like saving up for vacation, I guess there's that kind of stuff. But I'm also just saying, like, I can't get away from this, and I pulled it out of my ass, but I realize I do believe this heavily. Process beats product almost all the time. I mean, unless or until you are, oh my God, I watched the craziest video last month probably about making pumpernickel bread. And it was really fascinating because, like, I'm not a huge fan of pumpernickel, but, like, it's one of those breads that's, like, it's got, like, 3 ingredients or, like, 4 ingredients. Like, it's crazy. It really is. It's, like, almost like something if you could make it home. You just put 4 things in and do a thing, and then it becomes bread. But, like, it's a really big deal. Not many people make it. And this dude and his little company, his little family company, they make pumpernickel bread, and they know how to do that, right? But having watched that video, you know what I didn't say? Well, my goal now is to get that good at pumpernickel bread. Because for all kinds of reasons. First of all, I don't even really like pumpernickel bread. I don't have the facilities. I don't, like, there's just a million ways. And I hope you'll see that I'm kind of going somewhere with this. Because I feel like that's not that different than the way we start getting in the bad habit of creating goals based on bullshit to begin with. Whether that is being a rock star, being the most handsome boy in Albany, New York, like whatever you go and you set this goal for yourself. And again, remember that strap-on shame is always there to help you out. I'm not saying you shouldn't have things you want to accomplish, but I think the words personally do matter. And no, I'm not saying goals are bad. I'm not even saying building a bookshelf is a bad idea. But, you know, like Christopher Alexander says, you know, like every environment exists in another environment. There's a context and there's a surrounding context for everything that you do, especially in a lived environment. And that's why I end up saying dumb shit like first make a hole. I mean, which my wife thinks is like the dumbest thing in the world. I'm like, honey, first we've got to make a hole. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, because we're assuming that we have a place. Like this morning, we had to clean out the refrigerator. And it's so fun for me to watch the family clean up the refrigerator because they have no idea what they're doing. But they just do stuff like they just grab stuff and put it on the counter. And I guess somebody throws the rest of that out. Or, you know, some of the stuff goes, or you dump a bunch of like 6-week-old kale that you're definitely going to eat. You know, one of the vegetables of obligation that you buy to keep in your museum. And then like that just stinks up the trash really bad and everybody's mad at me. It's like, oh, well, yeah, but like don't put garbage in the garbage that's already garbage. You could just take that right on out to the curb. It's great to want to clean out the refrigerator. It's really good to clean out the refrigerator if you know why you're cleaning out the refrigerator, if you know what's going to go in there when you're done, if anything, and saliently, what you can learn from what you just did cleaning that out. We love to skip the what we learned part. And what we learned is that we have a food museum full of vegetables of obligation. Title.
It's already been
and
written
we
down.
don't learn from that.
highlighted.
We don't learn from that, and maybe that's okay. But like, let's say I'm not picking on Maddie. Maddie wants a bookshelf. Well, how big a bookshelf? What's it for? Those kinds of things. And this is the kind of thing where like me and my little friend make a lot of progress very quickly on these kinds of things. And where I often find I don't need to make a big bookshelf at all. If I start out with the idea of daddy need bookshelf, I can get fucked up in numerous ways if I'm looking at the product. Do you follow on that part? If I'm looking at the product rather than the process.
Yes.
And you don't need to get as stupid as like, is it for books? Is it for my little dolls? So you don't even need to get into that kind of stuff. And this is not a perfect idea of this, but I see so often in my life and in other people's lives where they get so attached to a certain phrasing. And I'm going to reread Wittgenstein this week, but they get obsessed with a certain English language phrasing about their life. I'm a content creator, or I'm a Taurus, or I'm making a bookshelf. And we have these things that we say, and we enunciate in English language an idea about how we are, who we are, and what the future will portend. And just to say, like, I want to build a bookshelf, well, that's no big deal. You can work it out, you figure it out. But like, you get too many of those things where you just said a sentence and now that's who you aren't yet. That's a lot to put on yourself unless you know what the fuck you're doing. Or unless you can just live with an extreme amount of cognitive dissonance and absolutely no attachment to the actual physical actions in your life, he said, going into his rant about personal productivity. But no, I think we fool ourselves so much, and I think so much of it comes out of trauma and shame. Did you ever feel that? Like, did you ever get like an example I gave with Syracuse? Like, hey, all your brothers and sisters like soccer. Did you ever feel anything like that? Did you ever feel? I want to leave this open, but I want to provide enough direction. Did you ever feel that, like, oh, Alexandra, why can't you be more like Tommy? Or why can't you be more like your friend Joseph? Or whatever. Did you ever get that? Like, hey, they don't seem to have any problem being great at soccer. Like, why aren't you applying yourself? Do you remember that feeling of people like kind of giving you, without even like saying, like, you don't even realize that they've created that goal for you, whether that's being good at soccer or in your, maybe it was, did you want to play flute?
I think this is where maybe we differ in that I still have that feeling and try to disconnect from that as much as possible. The feeling of shame.
I'm fighting it every single day, Alex, up and down. No, and dude, that's
that's kind of been the theme of.
But don't you wish we could talk about it more? Because it makes us seem weak and vulnerable, and the trauma and the shame is so big. And believe me, nobody wants to talk about it. People are ashamed because they're a big fat ass who smokes, and just because it's January 1st, nothing changed. It didn't work again. It must be me. Well, maybe that's not your first goal. Maybe your first goal is to start introducing into your life more changes in environment that disrupt the comfort of your patterns. Had you thought of that? What does that mean? Well, if you're still smoking and you meant to stop smoking, what have you changed about your environment? Well, first of all, did you stop buying cigarettes? Did you throw out the ashtrays? Did you like tell everybody in your family that you're going to stop? Did you do that? Well, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care, but I'm just saying, like, did you set up those conditions? If you want to lose weight, number one, did you stop buying potato chips? Like, just putting up a calendar and flipping it over does not make you a different person. And that's obviously, that's the easiest example of this that I can give. But there are a lot of us that have absolutely no business fronting about the kinds of goals that we imagine other people would be impressed if we would do. Meanwhile, saliently to this little sad guy over here, I'm stacking up accomplishments like fucking cordwood. Like, I'm doing all kinds of shit all the time that's crazy. Not just with ChatGPT, but like just with the basic, like, nascent curiosity of not being too cleft to the idea of who I am or who the world thinks I am, and instead developing a curiosity about what the opportunities are for me in the world to do next. Maybe I'll build a bookcase. But if I do want to build a bookcase, I'm going to build it like a person. And I'm going to really think through this process, and I'm going to have these steps, and I'm going to do a thing, and like whatever. Like, it can be so invigorating. And like I said to John, and then I'll stop. Like I said to John, my frustration in observation is there are a lot of people who don't want to admit how fucking mad at themselves they are because they never reached some goal or other goals. And meanwhile, those same people could very well be happily rolling along looking at little accomplishments if they could just learn to appreciate the things that they accomplished in a given day. You managed to brush your kids' hair and get them in the car with their lunch packed, and nobody cried. That's not a bit. This is not a motivational speech. That's your fucking life. Why couldn't you appreciate that one fucking good morning you have instead of being mad about how you're not vice president with your own parking space or whatever, or first chair flautist?
I would be I guess maybe this is, I'm almost like reverse chicken probleming because I just can no longer, no, I can't imagine wanting that, but it's just, I'm so far being the kind of person who wants a fancy car.
But you're pretty hard on yourself about goals.
No.
Well, you are very easily disappointed in yourself, if I could say.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I am trying, and I think pretty successful in acknowledging accomplishments, even if I stumble into them. Like, oh, yeah, today, I wasn't as anxious.
Yeah.
Like, today, like it.
And doesn't it sometimes happen where maybe it could be even at the end of the day, you're almost like your P app. Like at the end of the day, you go oh, you know what? Today was not as bad as it has been lately. I've had probably 2 or 3 fewer of those incidents that make me feel how I feel. It's oh, that was kind of an accomplishment, you know?
Well, that's why the P app is unironically sort of part of the whole little accomplishment, the project of just experiencing little accomplishments,
XP.
all of the silly little things I track, my water and peeing. That
I
goes
track
next
a lot.
to
I track a lot. I with Datum, man, I can find patterns.
And because I do that in a silly fun way, it's much easier to track things that are less fun, panic things or intrusive thoughts or mood. And having it's all right, if I quote unquote failed at doing a gratitude journal or whatever, well, hey, I still know that I drank water today and I'm not gonna get dizzy or whatever. Bundling.
Is part of that a presence of mind thing? Where there are people I will meet today at one point who would probably say, oh, I forgot to drink more water today. But in your case, isn't it possible you could actually have kind of forgotten to drink water?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that kind of a thing for you?
Yeah.
I mean, just with life stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
with your medicine and stuff, right? You need to make sure, not just to be some aspirational OCD sufferer, but to just know that the thing I do with when I take my sleeping pills, I don't want to take my sleeping pills twice, which I know I have done. I've probably done it 5 times this year. I couldn't tell you when, but that's the point. That's the problem. And so I do get I'm pushing up a little against some slightly OCD adjacent behavior, but where I'm I write down when I take my medicine. And now I know. And if I always do that, then I'll always know. And then eventually maybe I won't have to worry about it as much. But the not knowing makes me unhappy and makes me feel a little bit unmoored. But, that doesn't mean I have to be a nut about it forever. But I don't know. I feel like this kind of behavior that you and I do with tracking stuff, I think other people will probably look at it as slightly pathological, but it feels wholesome to me.
It sounds and looks like it without context until you sit down with someone and explain it, which happens fairly often when someone's curious about it. And I guess come across in both online and in real life more vulnerable people, and maybe it's because I am people assume that I am weak and vulnerable. Definitely vulnerable, hopefully a little less weak, but weak on
good
most
days and bad days.
Yeah. And maybe I don't know. I think there are a lot of people much more open to being vulnerable, and it is probably out of loneliness, but they're not the people shouting on Mastodon about injustices they don't understand, because that
Well,
would...
a lot of it's stuff they do. I mean, like, I'm not trying to say that everybody's stupid or that everybody's ignorant or any of that stuff. Would it interest anyone? I hope it wouldn't. Would it interest anybody to know how I feel about a lot of what's going on in the world? Well, it might, but it probably wouldn't, because they've already got a lot of that from other people. But don't for one fucking minute assume that just because I'm not out there acting like a homemade dick or a headless chicken, that I have any less of a concern about a lot of stuff than other people do. It's just, I think it's so fucking boring. I don't know what the future of it is. And can't you just make one thing that isn't about the discourse? Can't you just, it's just infrastructure for infrastructure's sake. It's just scaffolding all the way down. It's just this, it's like a permanent scaffolding of anger.
A lot of people, or at least I know that I myself tend to make a lot of things, but to put them on the internet is to expose yet more vulnerability, and then, like, at the very least, not having scaffolding of anger is really, I meant to type it and I didn't. Scaffolding of anger, scaffolding.
Thank you,
all the way
Alex.
down. It's very good. But sharing that not only makes you more vulnerable, but people see it as signaling that you don't care. And there's only, I think I've lost my tolerance for those people. I don't know. I guess I'm fascinated and a little bit upset that you think you're irrelevant, or that it has something to do. Oh no, why is that funny? Because, like, what makes you more or less relevant than, not like influencers or whatever? That's a different genre.
It would break my heart. First of all, if you misunderstood what I was trying to say, but it would be frankly inexcusable if that then became the public discourse on how I am. That would bum me out. I would not want something that I said very subtly in the midst of some very fucking smart other real stuff. I would not like the real stuff to get lost because now we've got a new sign to hang on Merlin, because you don't. That's the thing. It's like, no, what I said was, I'm not saying I'm irrelevant, but would it matter? Once you're irrelevant, it doesn't matter if you're irrelevant. I said less relevant. And, like, again, the thing you can't, I can't get into it. Just go be good and be right and get your cheers. But, like, just please don't overbin me, like, unless you really know what it is you're binning. And when I'm saying go out and make things, I'm saying make anything besides the most obvious fucking thing that you could do to fit in. And people, not Alex, but the world, please keep an eye on something that I try to keep an eye on with myself. And I really want people to keep an eye on this. Is there a chance that the most improbable thing in the world is happening, and that some of you who never intended to be are turning into bullies? Is it possible that you suffered under bullies in life? Is it possible that you unintentionally have integrated messages about power? It got encoded on you or into you in ways that you never liked or expected. But when you're really pressed, you become a bully the same way that a lot of us were bullies, which was 80% of the people above you are bullying you. And then 19% of people below you might be getting bullied by you and you just don't know it. Are you acting like a bully, guys? Because a lot of you seem to be kind of like acting like bullies. Now I sound like Christopherson in Fantastic Mr. Fox.
No,
Remember?
that's what I wanted you to say. Thank you.
Are you a bully? Because you're starting to sound like a bully. Why are you taking your shoes off so I don't break your nose? But we don't need to talk about this. We don't need to comment on that. But those of you who have a good heart and are open to self-awareness, start noticing how often you could be mistaken for a bully. Because even though nobody looks at themselves as a bully, every bully's got their reasons, right? I mean, most of the bullies I knew were abused in a variety of ways, came from, as we used to say when I was a kid, broken homes, all those kinds of bullies, and we all feel like, oh yeah, we all got gospel about that when we finally grew up and went, ooh, wow, it really makes you think, bullies had a really hard life, and like, oh, the bullies got bullied, and wow, it really makes you think. And now I see people out there swinging so fucking hard at strangers just because they think it's an encounter they can win. And how different is that from taking lunch money from an even wimpier kid? It fucking sucks. Catch yourself becoming a bully and fucking knock it off, America. Brian Wilson died. Look at that.
What?
Yeah, 82 years young. And what I said was, because this is, and I'm not, again, last thing I want to do is portray Syracuse, because I think Syracuse and I were actually agreeing on a ton of stuff, at least in my head. But in my way that I put this, and the word stuff does matter to me in my mental model, I want to just repeat this, though, that I do feel like a lot of my accomplishments that arrived, I don't want to say that I did, that's a pretty self-centered way to put it, but accomplishments I was lucky enough to like manage. Like my accomplishments often occurred in spite of goals and not because of them. And I would be happy to return to that, but I think that's something to really think about. Because like, did you catch that analogy about a tunnel? Everybody always wants to put you in a tunnel. Like, a tunnel in the sense of, well, we're going to drop you in this tunnel, and at the other end, you're going to be X. You're going to be a high school graduate, or you're going to be engaged, or you will be, a doctor or whatever. And I like that analogy though, because A, there's no turns in that tunnel. All there is getting in and getting out. And B, the thing I like that I said is that anytime you're doing anything other than directly dashing to the other end of the tunnel, everybody's wondering what's taking so long. And I think that's a pretty good analogy for a lot of things. With the upshot of that, at least in my probably unkind POV, is all the people who were like putting you in a tunnel and making those goals and telling you what to do. They're the ones that are more than happy to tell you, like constantly remind you, you should be out of the tunnel by now. You're like, dude, I never wanted to be in the tunnel to begin with. This was not my tunnel, not my monkeys. Like I didn't want to be in this process that has to be done in this order, at this time, doing it this certain way. And then at the end of your life, that's just a bunch of your life that's gone now because of what somebody else told you had to do. And then what do? You spend 5 years hopefully feeling less shitty about the fact you never finished a college major you never wanted to take, or like whatever. I mean, goals, man, goals are some bullshit. Whereas, and this is so fucking, God damn it, this is real. This is so what color is your parachute shit from like when I first started looking for a job. And that book was, like for a lot of young people, it was really helpful to me because it taught me a way to think laterally, not only about what I did, quote unquote, achieved, not on my resume, right? But also to think laterally about the future I could want to have. It isn't just a matter of going like, which library sciences career will you get into? It's a matter of going like, oh, I did realize that like, I feel dumb about the fact that I worked in retail for this long, but yeah, I learned how to use a cash register. I did deposits at night, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It differs for everybody. But if you're so mad at yourself that you're not yet an MD, that you don't appreciate what's happened along the way, you're throwing your life away. You're trading off the actual life that you have, the life you're living every fucking day, the limited amount of life. You're throwing all that away to be sad and mad and ashamed that you're not the goal, that you're not out of that tunnel that you were supposed to be in and you never will be, and everyone's disappointed now. And I don't know. I think people are hard on themselves, and that makes them hard on others. And sometimes the hard on themselves was never that useful, and the hard on others is even less useful. Don't be a bully.
The episode could just end right there. I was
Why?
trying really.
You think it sucks?
No, I think it's really good.
Fuck.
And I was trying to really hard to get you. No, eventually I
You like
was
to get
like,
me
I
worked
think.
up, get you to full froth.
No, because I
Must be nice.
because I think a lot of people are arriving and realizing in not so great being a bully can make you extremely relevant, and just building a different kind of tunnel will make you extremely relevant. And it's just a slightly different tunnel. It's like be good in this.
But like, think about how often also our bullying
way.
comes out. And that bullying, I'm not talking about just like, acting like we should get to the challenge, acting like Randy. Hey, Pee-wee, here's your ice cream soup. You're not just acting like Randy on Pee-wee's Playhouse, that kind of bully. There's the other kinds of bullies too, like the kinds that we will never be able to name on this show. Couple of the worst bullies I've ever met in my life might really surprise some of you, given our POV here. Terrible bullies, just abusive, awful, worst case scenario, you should know better bullies that we know would surprise a lot of people given their place in certain communities. And you know people like that, right? But if you feel like you're entitled to be the way that you are, if you feel like, maybe your dad's beating the shit out of you, or like, making you wear dirty underwear to school or whatever, but like, you have your reasons for being how you are. And a lot of times, one of the things that it's not very fun to admit, one thing that bullies exploit is the thing they hate most in themselves, which is weakness, or vis-a-vis lack of success, maybe. Hey, you're poor. You live in a worse trailer than me. So I'm gonna wait by your locker and like hit you every day because I can. You're weaker than me, and that's what a bully does. And it's one of those things where like we're pretty broad in our sympathy that we have for how we got to where we are, and we can, in the wrong circumstances, be much less tolerant of how people got to how they are, even as we use phrases that do have a meaning, like lived experience. Like we're not really learning from that. We're continuing to act like other people just dwell in some kind of satanic, sex den where all they do is go out and do bad things to nice people like us. And just be careful, guys. Should I try to say something encouraging? Would that help?
I think that is encouraging.
That wasn't kind of negative?
No, because people feel lonely when they feel bullied and don't understand
so
why.
isolated.
Because
Isolated.
when you agree with someone's world view, but they are like just emotionally slapping you, but saying things that you agree with, like murder is bad, it's becoming increasingly difficult to say, please stop hitting me. Like, just because then you're not cool, and you are not in their cool woke tunnel or their cool Zionist tunnel or
right.
whatever.
But you're also, boy, you really nailed it there. It's also that ability to pick who's in the in-group and the out-group and decide who is, counter-revolutionary or, who you're disappointed in. Oh, I'm so disappointed in you.
Well, I'm gonna reverse woke again, and because
You're doing a lot of reversing this episode.
I have
You reversed chickens,
or not
you
reverse
reversed
woke, reverse chicken problem again, because there was no way for me to live in a way that would not disappoint many people that I always just deeply wanted to make happy, and there were goals that were expected.
And they probably
of
never
me,
asked
and I
themselves
just
what the
knew-
consequences of that were to a young
Right.
person. Right. Let's not say it, but you know what I mean. Like, do you realize that the options that I have in life, you've kind of just taken away the big one, which is living?
Well, the dark thing that I don't say on this show is my biggest goal is just not kill
know,
myself.
stay alive.
It's a
I know,
really
I know.
tough one,
I know.
and that is that's like the ultimate. That's the ultimate project, and it's also.
Okay. I like scaffolding of anger, but I am writing down the ultimate project. That's pretty good. Because it's show me the lie.
it's just
Actually, I have a higher priority this month. I want to close some bugs on my Swift React. Yeah, I'm trying not to kill myself. Oh, yeah, yours is better.
It's a thing. Well, that's why it is a dark thing to say, and maybe because I say it is that is why people online end up privately being like,
Thank God somebody said it. Instead of just making a noise like,
You're thank me, yes, yes, suicide.
What if I could trigger you in a positive way? Challenge this week is to watch an HBO 2-part series called Pee-wee as Himself. That is about the actor Paul Reubens. My question to you is this. We just talked a lot. Oh, I love when little kids go by. They hold hands.
I was wondering. I'm like,
they wear like high visibility. They're like from the local preschool, and they walk in. They're so cute. It's like Madeline, walking in rows. Like little kids have like high vis, like little vests on. It's so cute.
We have those too. They hold on to a rope.
I love the crossing the street
it's like
rope.
Neon.
We don't have time to just take this from every angle. So can I suggest we pick an angle?
The one that we've just been talking about, I think.
Okay.
That seems to. Did you have a different?
No, I don't know what that means.
Because Paul Reubens had a lot of goals that he had to.
He was very. That I see what you're saying. Yeah. He was very ambitious, right? Mm-hmm. That was the word that kept coming up. Okay, so just to finish that thread then. So can we forget about we're not going to do a recap. We're just going to talk about it, right? We're just going to talk about our feelings about it. We don't have to do a recap. No spoiler shit. We're not going to worry about any of that, right?
Oh yeah. Okay. No.
That's one of the reasons he broke up with his handsome boyfriend. Was ambition.
Yeah.
And then that ambition becomes I got to get in the closet if I want to be interviewed as Pee-wee Herman. Holy fucking shit, this show.
The whole, I was never...
first of all, everybody,
never
watch
in the closet,
this.
But
hey,
then
everybody, watch this. It's good. Right, Alex?
Yes, it's really good. Even if, like me,
no matter what,
you had,
good.
No experience with Pee-wee Herman,
yes.
Or if, like me, I still feel like Ben Wyatt, where I understand why everything in the Pee-wee Herman universe is funny. I don't get why, I'm like, I don't get it. Why is this funny? I don't find it amusing. I don't know.
You did a great job. So even if you're like Alex and... No, but you put this, I think, better last time, which was, hey, you know what? You were born in 1990 when the show was in its probably second, third season. So you were brought into this world at a time where your almost whole context for what is called Pee-wee Herman is the perverted guy who got caught jerking it in an adult theater. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
That's most of your context for who Pee-wee Herman is.
But even by the time I was in high school, it had shifted to Pee-wee Herman was the guy who was essentially framed, railroaded because the district attorney wanted.
I didn't know that part.
Case.
Boy, that made me mad. Woo.
Yeah, that was actually most of the context because in 90 is when there was that, and then there was a child porn case.
Oh my God, the child! Can you believe pictures of his assistant's kid? Didn't that break your heart? And he's so adamant about not wanting to seem needy about it. That's why that Vulture article, if you do like this and enjoy it, that Vulture article, I think is a really good companion piece to this.
And if you've ever interviewed someone for a documentary, it's also a very cathartic watch as well. He did
what does he keep saying to him? Hey, come back. Come join me, Paul.
Come
back to me.
Come back.
Or did I? Or
I liked one of your movies.
Or don't I? I know. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Anybody else, I would find that incredibly annoying. But then also, I loved his whole bit about stealing focus. He's like, nobody can steal focus like me. I can walk on stage and steal focus from anybody. But he does it by playing low rather than big. I thought, man, but it all comes together. I don't know that much to say about it. I loved how these elements came together. I love that the guy got the opportunity to do this. I like how it turned out. I love what I learned. The ending, by the end of the second episode, I was pretty emotional by the time you're listening to that message. That made me and thinking about the deer, feeding the deer and everything. It was very emotional to me, but also then, again, and it doesn't matter if you know who Pee Wee is, it helps, but like his like crazy collection and archive of all that stuff he's got in those like warehouse rooms. But then that also helps you understand, knowing what you know now, don't you kind of rethink the whole, like, yeah, he got caught with a bunch of child porn. And you're like, well, no. First of all, it was mostly Muscle Man magazines. And second of all, the child picture was like his foster child or his, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was not anywhere near what they were presenting. That this guy is like a dangerous predator who like keeps, you know, a scrapbook of his victims or something. And it's like, oh, dude, no. He just likes circus stuff and likes his assistant's child. You know, it's just, oh, man. You could tell he doted over her, like loved that little kid. It was so sweet.
I mean,
that kid got to have Pee Wee Herman in her life.
And he had such a beautiful, I don't even like, not even like chosen family, just like, but this family that ended up just kind of being projected on to him. And it was a circumstantial family that, I mean, eventually was chosen, whatever. It
sounds like a Doctor Who episode, The Circumstantial Family. The circumstantial family of blood of the Daleks.
The one reason I didn't want to watch, but I wasn't going to watch the documentary, not because I just don't find the character of Pee Wee Herman funny, but was because I had known that he was just sacrificed to the gods of the California justice system. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch a whole documentary about a gay guy being smeared because
it's difficult to know what to expect.
But it's and it is not all that. It is very emotional, but it is not like a.
I love the balance though, and I want to just really stipulate. Yeah. I don't think he's a great guy in the usual in the sense.
Do.
Well, okay, but like, ask Phil Hartman about that or whomever. Like, he was pretty stingy with sharing a lot of the glory and the money with people, and I believe that's to be true. I think he was very involved, and the fact that he thinks of it all as his own performance. But, you know, all those other people did contribute quite a lot. I don't think he's perfect, but boy, what a balanced portrait of like the end of that. And then to find out, even the filmmaker didn't know he'd had cancer for 6 years. Fucking insane. I really love the Pee Wee that you come away with. He seems like a real person. He's not perfect, but he seems like a very real person.
This is, I mean, I know more of Paul Rubens than Pee Wee Herman, essentially, which is why I don't know. There are probably people my age who would go into similar to me, like queer people who just knew him as the guy with, well, actually, I think even until this, I had just assumed, or the narrative was like gay porn, but it was still like, who cares? Like, okay, he had gay porn, right, whatever. But even it wasn't no. Like that's that. It wasn't even. It wasn't even that. It wasn't that.
Yeah,
it was. The cops lied. Like it wasn't.
Hey, remember that thing Merlin said that the rules are just stop talking to cops. Stop. Not people should stop talking to cops, but reporters should stop listening to cops. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't.
I don't know if you know that there are some protests going on, but Chicago reporters are framing Chicago as like, see, look it can be a peaceful protest. It's like, no, we didn't talk to. We're not. I mean, not right, that I was. Anyway,
Pee Wee Herman.
Don't listen to them. There's people that say press who helped organize it. Like, hello, we are over here.
Oh no, you're right. It's not. You know, they're culpable too. Anyway. But he. And this is, by my count, I bet there's more. I think this is at least our second media challenge where a beloved closeted icon comes out. Because we also had 6 by Sondheim. We did that on here, right?
Oh, did he?
Remember we first talked about his boyfriend?
Then this is the second documentary where I'm like, wait, I thought he was out.
I'm pretty sure in the Max era we watched 6 by Sondheim is a really...
We did watch it, yeah.
It's a really fun documentary about Stephen Sondheim. And basically the notion is we're going to take 6 songs from 6 shows and use that as a frame for talking about his career. And it includes some really fun performances and a lot of good, archival footage. But yeah.
Well, like,
Boy, his boyfriend was cute, huh? That guy was a snack.
oh my God.
He seems so charming.
To be in love with a black guy.
A gorgeous black
and-
guy in the 70s, share an
Yeah.
apartment, have a cat.
Ugh. Yeah,
God.
and like being like, hey, Paul, are you gonna like do your job or play house? Like, fucking gutted.
I also love the. I mean, it was awkward necessarily, but I liked it when they were showing interviews from that weird in between period where, you could tell he's so awkward about being interviewed as Paul Rubens, but especially when he's in character. And it's so awkward to watch somebody try to interview him as Paul Rubens, sitting on the couch there when he's dressed as Pee Wee Herman. And you could tell, like, he had to really find his own sort of level for dealing with that. And finally, it was just like, there is no Paul Rubens anymore. Mm-hmm. That's the only way that this becomes tenable, is like to just have this Pee Wee character.
And the unknown consequences, not just both personally and like, okay, my mugshot is me looking like I'm leading the Manson family, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's also like the way it had again sort of been framed to me was like he was a tragic gay figure, whereas he wasn't
One of those classic
that.
like Paul Lynde, or one of the people who's taken their own life. But like Paul Lynde, man, that was a bummer. That guy was super closeted. And one night, do you know the story about that? The Center Square from Hollywood Squares. One night at the St. Francis here in town, his lover, boyfriend, fell out of a window and died.
Oh God.
Or like Fatty Arbuckle. That's the classic example. Like, you can't say Fatty Arbuckle without people thinking of that scandal, which was non-existent.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Roscoe Arbuckle. But there's a lot of cases like that, but there's certainly so many, cases of especially like gay men like that. But I'm sorry I interrupted you. I apologize.
Well, no, but he sort of wasn't that case. Like, he made
the tragic gay.
choice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but he wasn't until he was like, he was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. And and it wasn't so much the, like, I can't be out at first. It was like,
There is no
not,
Paul.
it's
I mean,
not
if
just,
there's no
yeah,
Paul,
it's
I
not
can't
that
be
there's
gay.
no, yeah. And then being Paul and then having suddenly like, oh fuck, who is Paul? And watching that snowball was more interesting than, oh, what happened with the scandal, which also made the whole, like, he wouldn't sit down for the final interview about
Right.
being arrested even more interesting. Because I was like, wait, what else do you want to know? Or what
I think
else
that's
would
because
you
he's
have
fighting
want
himself.
to
He
know?
doesn't want to look sweaty. He doesn't want to look like one of those people in a
I don't know
documentary
what else.
explaining themselves. I think that's what he struggles with, that having the dignity to not have to explain this bullshit. And it's embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing as hell.
I just was really struck that, like, there would be he did actually say, like, in the recording that he sent to the filmmakers
Yes.
right before he died, he said, like, I just wanted to explain myself, and that's all I wrote down, but the other part was good.
But he put it was, yeah. And you can hear him and like, boy, I
It's
love
a
that
good
guy.
movie.
It's really good. Check it out. It's well worth your time. And don't be like Randy.
Yeah. Still didn't.
Did you see Natasha Lyonne? Little Natasha Lyonne? How cute is
Oh
she?
my God!
Can you
Oh,
believe
see,
little hippie Natasha Lyonne on that show? How cute is she?
I think everything else about, like, Cherry and
Oh my God,
like,
Sherry! Oh my God,
I
and
love
Charlie's
Cherry.
mom, and Charlie's mom as Miss Yvonne.
Yeah.
Miss Yvonne, I hate to stare, but you have got the biggest hair. I still remember. Hi, my name is Penny. I still remember so much about Pee Wee's Playhouse. Oh my God. Mecca lecca hi, mecca hiney ho. I still remember so much about that show. Oh, I loved it. Cowboy Curtis. He was in Apocalypse Now. Go figure.
Was that that
Larry
was
Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne there? Larry,
Finchburn.
you call him Larry.
I call him Larry Finchbun. He doesn't know why. He'll find out. I bully you, Larry Finchbun. Don't get off the boat. Never get off the boat.